Hello and good morning, Lensbaby family. I hope that you are all doing very well today. Real quick, before we get started, in the chat, if you can hear me and see me, just go ahead and let me know. Just say I can hear you, I can see you. With technology, we never really know. So if you can hear me and see me in the chat, just say hi. Let me know. Let me know where you guys are watching from. Where are you participating from this morning? I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. This is going to be a very, very fun experience. Loud and clear. Perfect. Great. I see. Great. We got so many people watching right now, over 250 people, and we haven't even started yet. So that's super exciting. I'm going to put this little link here. If you can see in the chat, if you guys go to this chat.restream.io/Facebook, you can actually connect your Facebook profile, because one of the things that we'll be doing is highlighting you guys throughout the course of the day and touching base with you. For instance, you can see here, we have our friend Janet Douglas saying hello from Scotland, which is super exciting. So let us know where you guys are. We got Michael Webb here. All good things here in the UK. What is up, UK? Late night there. We have people all over the world watching right now, from Switzerland, California, Seattle. This is really cool. So that said, if you want to see your gorgeous faces, make sure that you go to chat.restream.io/FB to connect your profile. We have folks watching from around the world today. As you probably have already guessed, it is launch day. And so, to introduce myself before we get started, I am Michael Anthony, and I am the Vice President of Marketing here at Lensbaby. And I'm going to be leading the charge along with a lot of our amazing ambassadors, educators, and Facebook community here in Lensbaby. If you are on Unplugged, you probably have seen a lot of us in there, in and out. If you follow us on social over at Lensbaby USA, you've probably noticed that we've been secretly working on something that is now no longer a secret, and that is the brand new Soft Focus Optic, which this is the Soft Focus II. I will tell you this, I'm not going to do as good of a job as explaining what this is as our co-founder and creator, Craig Strong, is going to do, who will be our first presenter this morning, teaching you the basics and guidelines of the brand new Soft Focus II. And so you guys know, these are ready to go. We are already shipping orders. So if you have already placed an order, there is a huge pile down in our warehouse right now that our team is putting together and getting shipped out. So if you want one of these before we go in back order, because they are moving incredibly fast, you need to go to lensbaby.com right now and grab one. And so you can grab it for an optic only if you have an optic swap system, or you can grab it in our fixed body. All you need to go is lensbaby.com, and you will find out exactly everything that you need. And we are shipping, of course, internationally. If you're in the UK, you can get orders there, in Canada, and everywhere where Lensbabies are sold. That said, we're very excited today. So with this launch party, one of the things that we love here at Lensbaby is education. We try to put that predominantly up front with everything that we do, for two reasons. One, we recognize and understand that Lensbaby is very different than your standard lens, and which is something we're very, very proud of. And secondarily, we want to help people understand not only how to use Lensbaby products, but how to make them a part of their daily life to be an extraordinary photographer. And with that said, today, our launch party, if you didn't know, is going to be over 3 hours long. We have over 10 different educators who are going to be teaching about the brand new Soft Focus II all day long. And for those of you who are just popping in and out, and maybe you can't stay and you're at work, I don't know why you're working today. That makes no sense to me. But for those of you who are at work or have life and family and cannot be here the whole time, please know that we are recording this, and we are re-airing it, and you will not miss anything. And in fact, we'll be publishing all of the videos on the website and everywhere. So just keep that in mind. If you cannot stay for the entirety of this 3 hours, do not worry about it, because we got you. That said, we have amazing, amazing speakers today who are going to teach and educate you about the brand new Soft Focus II, including Craig Strong, who is the co-founder, who's going to start off today teaching you the basics in the Lensbaby Soft Focus II user guide. Lindsay Davis, Uta Reckhorn, Noah Smith, Elizabeth Wilson, Ali Franz, Kathleen Clemens, and more. And again, my name is Michael Anthony, and I am the Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at Lensbaby. Throughout the course of the day, our Lensbaby team is here with you in our chats. So you'll see tons of the Lensbaby family in the chats. Our ambassadors are in the chats. Our beta testers are in the chats. And also in the chat on lensbaby.com, our customer happiness team is here and ready to help you any way that you may need. And again, if you go to lensbaby.com right now, you can grab a Soft Focus II and not have to worry about us selling out, because I promise you, we are moving a ton of these already. People are super excited. We have multiple ambassadors and beta testers tell us that this is their favorite product we have ever created. That's kind of a big deal because, as you know, we have a ton of really beautiful, incredible Lensbaby lenses and optics and accessories. So that said, one more time, let me know where you guys are watching from. What are you excited about today? We're going to get started here with Craig Strong in just a couple of minutes. And let's see here. We got folks from all over the world, Paris and New Zealand and Florida and India, Uruguay. Wow, that's incredible. The Netherlands, the UK, New Jersey, New Mexico, Massachusetts, France, Medellin, Colombia. I love that place so much. And we have Portland, Oregon. That is, if you did not know, that is our hometown. Lensbaby is here in Portland, Oregon. So we're super excited to be here with all of you guys. Again, if you want to connect to the chat here, one of the things you can do is click the link that I just posted in the chat at chat.restream.io/Facebook. And if you head over to lensbaby.com, you will be able to grab your Soft Focus II. So again, welcome to the Lensbaby launch party. We have over 3 hours of amazing content that is going to start off with our co-founder, Craig Strong, which I'm incredibly excited about. And we have Lensbaby customer happiness agents in the chat at lensbaby.com to help you with any questions about the Soft Focus II and ordering. And again, we are shipping these out right now. So if you order today, it's literally going out today because our team is that prepared. We've been going nonstop getting ready for this launch. We're very excited to be here. Very grateful to the Lensbaby team. Very grateful to all of you for being here live with us. Very, very grateful to all of our educators and ambassadors who are going to help and teach us today. And so without further ado, let's get into the launch party.
Hi, I'm Craig with Lensbaby, and I'm here to talk about the Soft Focus II Optic. The Optic is part of the Optic Swap system, and it is a system that allows you to take a lens optic and put it into a lens body, as we call them, and get a specific effect. I have just put the Soft Focus II Optic into the fixed body, which is the one in my hand is a Sony mount, and that allows me to have a complete lens. That lens is different than what you could have done with the original Soft Focus optic, primarily because of the internal aperture system. It has a 12-bladed aperture that allows you to fine-tune your effect, and the first Soft Focus optic that came out in 2009 had only drop-in apertures. It had the same effect as far as the optical design was the same, but you had to commit to the look that you were after before you started to focus, before you framed your image. And if you wanted to change that, you had to pull your apertures out. Now, what's really cool is that the Soft Focus II has that same aperture system, and we're including 3 of these multi-hold apps. They have different size center holes and a different number of outer holes, and so that mixes the softness from the outside of the optical design with the sharpness from the inside in a very different ratio for each of these three. So for different subject matter, and you might just find a favorite of the three that you like, it just gives you lots of options. Lensbaby loves lots of options, and this is one of those options. It also comes with a sunburst app that allows you to change the shape of your out of focus areas, and that effect is really obvious if you have points of light in the background, and less obvious if you have a low contrast background. But it will change the highlights on your subject. It will change what's going on in the background, especially if you have a high contrast or points of light in the background. Those apertures come in this little aperture removal tool and storage case. And I am going to just show you right here. Let's open this guy up. Whoops, or get my hand out of the way. And what you want to do when you're changing your apertures is just drop it in fairly flat, and that puts your aperture right there, sitting right in front of the glass, which is right in front of the 12-bladed aperture. Once you've got that in place, I don't generally stop down my internal aperture when I have another aperture sitting in front of it, but you can play with that for sure. You can also stack up to 3 different apertures to get custom shapes. And then when you're ready to remove that and go back to just the internal aperture or change your drop-in aperture, the end of the tool that the Soft Focus II came with has a magnet on it, and you just tap that to the front of your aperture and pull it out. So that's how that works. The Soft Focus II at the brightest apertures, tons of glow. As you stop it down, it becomes more like a classic lens where you still have edge effects and whatnot that are not like a modern lens, but you have a very, very sharp and contrasty center. So having that huge amount of variability and having the drop-in apertures to be able to change the shape of everything that's out of focus and the highlights even in the in-focus areas, there's tons of variability, and there's lots of happy surprises that come with this because the flare that comes from it, the points of light that will take on the shape of your aperture, it's a ton of fun. Last thing I want to show you is how to properly install your optic. And what you want to do is you want to open up your optic or stop your optic. I was right the first time. Open up your optic to f2.5. That is the brightest aperture. It goes from f2.5 down to f22. And there's going to be a dot there right next to the f2.5. You want to line that up with the circle. There's a circle and a dot on the front of your lens body, and then just click it into place. What that does is, one, it puts your apertures at the top of the optic so that when you're looking down on your lens, you'll be able to see what your aperture is. And it also gives you an indicator of which aperture you're at because that dot is now lined up with your aperture setting. So that is a primer on the Soft Focus II optic, which is one of my favorite optics. Tons of variability. It is, you know, I'm the Lensbaby daddy, so I have to choose sometimes which one's my favorite, and sometimes this one's my favorite. But if you have any questions that I didn't answer, please put it in the comments below, and I will answer those as soon as I can. And you have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here.
guys. I am Lindsay Davis, a documentary and still life photographer in Northeast Florida, mom of 5 and super busy all the way in between, right? I am so excited to be here because I get to share with you the brand new Soft Focus II lens by Lensbaby. And I have to say, I wasn't sure what to expect. But I've been pleasantly surprised. So let's get right to it. So the first thing I want to talk about is that this is this is part of the Optic Swap system. So this is the actual lens, the Soft Focus II. And this is my Composer Pro 2. So I just put that right in there. And this lens goes from f2.5 to f22, which is always one of my favorite things about a lens. That way I can get, so at f2.5 you're going to get a lot of glow and almost like impressionistic images from f2.5. To f22 you're going to get really sharp contrasty type images, and I typically fall somewhere in the middle of those. I like a little bit of both options. So that is one of the things I really loved about this lens. Now, another really cool aspect of this lens is it comes with this little storage device, and inside is 4 aperture discs. This is the really cool starburst effect that Lensbaby has done before, and these come with every soft focus lens. And then you have these different circular ones, and each one creates a different blur effect to your bokeh and your light in your images. And so that is really cool. Whoops. Okay. And almost before I forget, this comes with the magnetic end. You pop that off. There's a magnetic on there. You take your aperture disc, whichever one you want to use, and you can stack these on top of each other if you want to use more than one. So you just stick your aperture disc to the little magnetic thing and then just drop it right inside your lens. I hope you can see that. And ta-da, it's in there. And you just use that same magnetic end to pop it out. That's how the aperture discs work. And again, those are shipped with every lens. So I have to say, I use this lens for a variety of different subjects. Still life, documentary, portrait work. I tried it in all the different things. It is so versatile, and I feel like you're gonna get so much for your money whenever you buy a lens like that you can shoot all kinds of different genres and really play with and experiment with and try new things. And then you add in those aperture discs. That's like, I mean, it's like another lens in itself. You can create your own bokeh, street, nighttime photography, like all of those things completely changed up whenever you're changing up the aperture discs. So that's just my opinion. So I really want to show you some of the images that I've taken with this lens, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, so first of all, here are some of my still life images, and this is opened all the way up, so I'm getting that really glowy effect. And you'll notice the bokeh around the candle flame is really large, round, really just beautiful. And this feels so vintage and dreamlike or impressionistic, or like a memory. So, and again, this was just something I just put together last weekend, and I wanted to try out the different settings. So, and then here is a super closed down, and same here. So you can see I mean, there's just so much variety with these, with the way this lens works. And then if you were to throw on one of those, and if you'll notice the bokeh here on the candle, and then notice the bokeh or the light on the candle here. And so if I would have thrown on one of those aperture discs, this could have really done some cool stuff with that bokeh or with the light, the candle flame. I kind of wish I would have done that now, and I just simply got in a hurry and forgot. So I also tried it out with some portraits, and this is my daughter Olivia and her horse Little Bit. And I just really like the feel of this, and I love the contrast. And like, she will love this photo forever, and I will too. So I like the memory feel of it. So, all right. moving on to the dancer that I took some shots for her, I like how almost abstract this feels, and this is all the way opened up, so you're getting lots of and I was using a slower shutter because I wanted to blur her in this, and so that's why you're seeing that as well. And then this is about middle ways with the f-stop. I think this is probably like f11, and I'm still like slowing down, dragging my shutter so I can get some blur with her movement. And this is opened, or this is closed down at, I believe, f22. So again, we go from here, middle, and then really, it's this, I just love this soft focus around the edge. And then this one was opened all the way up at f2.5, and you notice all the glow around her and of course in the back. And then at the bottom of the image, how it does this was just like a gravel road. It just looks really cool. And again, I will mention that sometimes I thought I had the subject in focus and focus was actually falling behind it. And with her moving so much and it being a manual focus lens, it was tricky to keep her on the same plane and adjust focus at the same time. So, but I don't mind, because you'll notice that focus fell further back behind her. Totally fine with me. I don't mind, but I always have focus peaking on when I'm working with a manual lens to try and nail focus exactly where I want it. But again, with this particular, with a dancer who's moving around a lot, it was kind of tricky and I really don't mind. So, and then this was another image that I took of her. And I really enjoy the versatility of this lens so much. I hope you enjoyed those images. And I am Lindsay Davis. If you have any questions, you can find me on Instagram at LindsayDavis05. And again, thank you to Lensbaby for allowing me to play around with this image, this lens. It's not going to leave my camera, I think, for quite a while. It has been a lot of fun. And again, the versatility with this lens is amazing. It's awesome. So if, again, any questions, just let me know. I am happy to help. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Bringing you the creativity from my studio in LA, I'm Ute, also known as California Lover. And today I have the big honor to introduce you to the brand new Lensbaby product, the Soft Focus II. Tiny little lightweight lens, part of the Optic Swap system. Apertures from 2.5 to 22. This lens does it all. But you are probably curious, what does it specifically? Because Lensbaby lenses, as we all know, have one specialty. So this one, you might already assume, as the name says, soft focus. It creates soft focus. And I wasn't too thrilled, to be honest. In the beginning, I was like, soft focus, that's not really my thing normally. But I gave it a try. I have used it for the last few weeks, month actually. And I can only say I really fell in love with it. But as we say, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. I would like to continue with some images in a slideshow and tell you a little bit more about my experience. Have fun.
When I have a chance to try out a new lens, I always go to a safe location. So in my case, that's first my neighborhood, and then typically next the botanical garden. I find it very easy to work with plants and to try out different effects. And here you can quickly see how beautiful the bokeh of this lens is. The softness is like nothing I have ever seen before. It gave me the idea of looking at fairy tales. And when you use the lens and shoot it at 2.5, the softness is so gorgeous. It turns bokeh and light into light spots into soft little backlit, gorgeous. I don't even have words for that. I don't know. It looks like pearls, and it melts in so nicely. I have never seen that with any other lens so far. So I tried this lens at different light scenarios, backlit, late afternoon light. Uh, I took it out around noon. I just played with it. And slowly, I must say, I fell in love with how it looks at when you shoot it wide open. The painterly feel in an image is like nothing I have ever seen before. So I continue to explore. I work with many more plants. And then eventually, after I got a little more comfortable, I took it out on the street. Well, being from Southern California, when I say street, I mean beach, of course. So here we go, the beautiful beach. I had so much fun with the lens. The first thing I tried was f11, and you can see tag sharp. And then I went all the way to 2.5, same location, and oh my God, the glow. I could not believe it. And then I started playing. I took it everywhere. I took it on the pier. I took it down at the waterline, and I just tried different types of light, and it was amazing. So every regular scene seems to be transformed into a painting. And what I really enjoyed was adding omnifilters to the optic, because due to the fact that it creates such a soft focus, everything you hold in front of the lens just melts in. And I feel like every picture I took turned into a little poem. Um, that made me so happy. You have no idea. And I continue to play. Here you see more omni filters in front of my lens, and I just loved how you can catch the light, sunlight, and create these light bubbles with it. And yeah, and other omni filters. So first I used the foils, and then later I use the glass, the prisms, and yeah, here you can see it's the pier, and I just used the stretch glass, and that was all stretched out, and the lens just loves melting things into the picture due to the fact that the focus is so soft, and I really think that is a great feature, and I honestly can't wait to continue to work with this lens, be it at the beach or for street photography or nature. It just is so much fun, and I'm sure it has a lot more in stock for me. So here I continue to demonstrate the look of the lens shot wide open with omni filters. But if you don't have omni filters, don't shy away from this technique. I tried a lot of other things. Like here, you can see me holding little ice cream spoons in front of the lens, and that looked amazing. I have never seen that kind of colors before, and I was so in love with it. So the almost neon colors look so summery and fresh. And I think I'm sure there are a million other things you could try. My only recommendation here is make sure it's see-through, and have fun. This was like a little piece of jewelry that I was holding against the sun, and it created these golden streaks. And here we have the multicolor glass omni filter, one of my favorites. Just anything really works. You be creative, just try something, and play with it. I just love what the filter did here to the whole location. And then I think this was taken again. Oh yeah, with the foil. I went to a park with it, to the Santa Monica amusement park, and yeah, people were having fun at the joyrides, and I was also having fun with my little joy lens and the joyful colors that it created. Yeah, and I find it fascinating when you see a landmark like this that has been shot a million times, and you can still come up with a new version. Here, I used it for street photography. It was used wide open, but still, you have the necessary detail to see a story. Um, and that's what fascinates me so much. You choose. You can say, well, I'm more of a realist and I shoot this lens at f.8, or I want to go all the way to a really dreamy feel and shoot it at 2.5. And yeah, it never fails. It's like a bag of candy, I feel. Eventually, I wanted to see how the lens performs at low light, so I went to the beach around sunset. And again, it completely stunned me. I just love how the colors turned out, especially the pastel tones. And yeah, you can raise your ISO on your camera, and this lens is so much fun. So I love how it captures the emotions of a calmer moment as well as the fun moments.
So, how do you feel? Did I convince you? I can say only one thing. After trying this lens for the last 2 to 3 months, I literally fell in love, and thank you, Lensbaby.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin Michael, and I am very excited to be with you today and sharing about how I use the Soft Focus II optic in my photography. So a little bit about me. I am a middle school ESL teacher. That stands for English as a Second Language. And on the side, I'm a professional photographer. I do portrait photography as well as macro close-up photography and landscapes. I enjoy using a wide variety of Lensbaby gear, from lenses, optics to the Omni system. I love them all. They help me tap into creativity that I was not able to or didn't know that I had before. And for the past year and a half, I have been honored to be a Lensbaby ambassador, and I'm excited to be with you here today on behalf of Lensbaby. All right, so getting started, I was so excited to be given the opportunity to test this optic for Lensbaby. I got it in the fall and I took it out right away, put it in my Composer Pro 2, and went outside to take pictures of the mums that I had on my front porch. I loved what I got with my first images. This is one of the very first images I took with the Soft Focus II, and I loved it so much, I made it the background of my phone. And now, as you can see, it is also the background behind me here. I was sad that I couldn't share it with anyone else. It had to just stay on my phone and with me. And later I was able to share it with other ambassadors. But I'm so excited that I can finally share this image with the world because it still gives me all the feels. It is vintage and soft, and I don't know, I get so excited when I see this image. I just love it. Anyway, you might be thinking to yourself, so this image, it looks a lot like a velvet. And I agree with you. It does look a lot like a velvet. So I decided that I was going to do some comparisons. The Soft Focus II, you may already know, you may not, it is a 50mm lens. So I grabbed my Velvet 56 so that the focal lengths would be very similar, and I did some side by side. So let's take a look. On the left side, you can see the Soft Focus II. It is at the f2.5. That is as wide open as it gets, and it is so very soft, so soft. But if you look on the right, I have two images on the right from the Velvet 56. It gets all the way down to f1.6 and f2. So you can see right here, there's still a little bit more detail. It's a little bit more crisp. Not as soft, I guess is what I'm thinking of, at its most wide open option as the Soft Focus over here. And then down here at f2, again, and I thought the velvets were super soft when they were wide open, like soft, dreamy. Took me a while to love them, but now I do. And now with the Soft Focus II, it takes it to a whole nother level. And yeah, they're just so dreamy. At the f2.8, so here they both are at f2.8. You can just see that comparison here, the velvet versus up here we have the Soft Focus. There are some strong similarities between these images. They're both sharp underneath the softness. The Soft Focus just has a little bit extra soft to it. And I will admit, I'm not very technical when it comes to photography. I don't know all the technical jargon. So maybe someone else can explain the reasons why it is softer than the velvet, but it is. And I love it. And even though I have all three velvet lenses, I am going to use this optic a lot. And you're going to see why throughout my presentation why this optic is going to be a staple in my camera bag. Here we have it f8, f11, f16. So the Velvet lens, the Velvet 56, it will stop at f16. It does not get, the aperture does not get any smaller than f16, whereas the soft focus, it's going to keep going all the way up to f22. And look at that sharpness. That is incredible to me. When I took these two images, and these are both from the soft focus optic, the Soft Focus II, when I looked at them, I was blown away at how crisp and sharp they are, especially when I was looking at the 2.5 when it was wide open. So you can see here the range that you're going to get with this lens. And I found that my favorite aperture was the f4 as I was playing around with this lens. I'm going to turn off my video so that you can just take in these examples of what I took. Oh, before I turn it off, I do want to share, I'm going to be talking about macro filters here. The macro filters are these 3 filters that you can stack. Either you have one of them by itself, you can have 2 or all 3 together, and they will screw into the top of the optic to the end. And this will give your optic more potential for close-up and macro images, something that it doesn't have on its own. The Velvets do have macro potential, but the soft focus does not. So I highly recommend these macro filters, and you're going to see a lot of examples. I used this optic a lot with macro filters, and it was a game changer for me. So here we go. So these images were all taken wide open at 2.5. You can see just like a soft haze over the image. And I find it so beautiful and vintage looking, but yet there's still a crispness. It's not blurry, it's just soft. Here's an image that I used with macro filters, and that macro just made the background even more creamy and dreamy. And if that's the kind of image that you're going for, this optic is definitely for you. This was wide open with all 3 macro filters stacked on top of each other. All right, so these I'm pretty sure I took at f4. I was taking a walk downtown and stopped into my friend's flower shop and happened to have my soft focus with me in my bag. So I popped it on while I was taking some pictures of her beautiful flowers. And looking at these, I'm fairly certain that this was taken at f4, just because of the amount of soft blur and also focus or crispness underneath the blur. I just love the look that this optic gives to flowers. I actually happened to pop back into her shop a couple days later and was reaching for my soft focus to take some pictures of her flowers, and it was not in my bag. And I was so sad because it just did some amazing things it captured the beauty in a whole different way. Here it is at f4. Just a little setup I had going on with some flowers I brought home from her shop. Here I used my Omnicolor crystal with my macro filters and the soft focus. That was probably at f4 again, as well as with that color crystal. And if you love using Omni, you can definitely use your Omni with this optic. It's going to capture some gorgeous colors and reflections. Here you can see that color crystal was used again in that top left corner. Again, I'm pretty sure this was at f4, maybe even 5.6, just because of looking at the center focus and how crisp that is in the middle. Then I took my dog outside at golden hour, and I loved the way that this captured that golden glow. Look at that. Just that outline, that golden outline around her head. Stunning. Yeah. She wasn't exactly happy that I was taking pictures of her. She's just like a kid. But she put up with me, and there she is. I took my optic with me when my family went to Colonial Williamsburg over Christmas, and I found that this lens, this optic, was perfect for Williamsburg because it gave such a dreamy, vintage, old world feel to the portraits of the buildings that I was taking. All right, so you can kind of see how I'm using it. I also want to share that I found this optic is perfect because it's an optic. And as I'm going to explain in my little video here, when I am going out and don't feel like taking a ton of gear with me, this optic is going to be one of the first ones that I go to because it's small, it's light. The velvets, they're wonderful, but they're big and they're heavy. And while I might only take one of them with me if I'm going out and I specifically know that I want them, this soft focus optic, it barely weighs a thing. And so it's going to be in my bag all the time. So I can just quickly grab it when I want that soft, dreamy feel, or I want that crisp focus. It's perfect to just grab and go. So here's a little video that I did as I was getting ready to go out.
So I'm about to go on a hike this afternoon, and as you can see through the window, it's still cold outside with some snow, and I don't really want to take my backpack with me. I don't want to take a lot of gear, so I'm taking with me my Composer Pro 2 with the Sweet 80 optic, as well as my Soft Focus 2 optic and my 3 macro filters. Right now they're all stacked together. This is perfect because all I have to do is pop my optic and my macro filter case in my pocket and I'm good to go. We can take our hike, and if I want to swap out my lenses, I can, but they don't take up much space and it's a quick switch and go. So I can't wait to share with you some of the pictures I take on my hike. Let's go.
So here we are on my hike. Took my dog along, and I just love that glow on her fur, the snow. I mean, the sun wasn't out. It was a very overcast day, but she still had this beautiful glow on the top of her head. And I just love this, this particular portrait of my dog. And then over here on the right side, I love how soft it made the background. Winter trees just aren't always pleasant to look at, but this kind of made it soft and blurred it out, and she just kind of stands out from the trees. And I love that it worked out that way. I have this as f4. It could potentially have been f5.6. But between f4 and f5.6 is what I used for a lot of things on this hike. And there she is walking with my husband. I love the way that the optic process or took in that red, and just everything else is just kind of more soft and neutral, and then that red still pops, but it's still kind of neutral and soft. So I really like this picture of the two of them. So this is why I love this lens. I can get those portraits of my dog, my husband and my dog, I can pop on macro filters, as you'll see later, but I can take those macro filters off and I can get the scene that I'm seeing and take in like everything. And you can see in the background, there's a couple tents. There were people up there ice fishing. And I was able just to kind of take in the whole scene of what was going on that particular Sunday afternoon. And then there was a man, I guess he's starting his, making another hole to fish. And I was able to get that documentary type photo of him doing that with this optic. And again, just kind of take in the scene. There's a family that was ice fishing in their tent. And then on the same hike, I was able to get those close-ups with my macro filters of the end of the boat and a really cool design in the bark of one of the trees. And all of that I could do with one lens, one optic. And it's small and it fits in my pocket and it's wonderful. Look at how dreamy this is. And then, so the soft focus comes with these aperture discs that also create some really fun bokeh. I will admit, the aperture discs are not something that I grab regularly, but they were super fun with holiday lights. And here, obviously no aperture disc, but they're just so soft and it's so different. And I had so much fun photographing holiday Christmas lights this year with this optic. And it's great for animals, as you saw with my dog. Here, I went to my friend's farm and they have like over 30 baby goats, and I got to just hang out with them for a while and take their picture, and they're so playful, but I just love that soft vintage feel that this optic gives, and it just makes, I feel like it makes the animals look a little more cute and lovable. And you can even see like around the dust, there's like haloing around the dust that was catching the light. I mean, look at that. That's still f4, but look at how crisp it still is on their eyes. Look how blue and beautiful their eyes are. But it's still soft in the background. I mean, come on. These baby goats were like puppies. They were so adorable and so fun to take pictures of. All right, so I have one more photo walk to share with you before I close out my presentation.
So today is my dog's gotcha day, and we're going to take a walk up at the lake, and I'm going to take my soft focus 2. My soft focus 2 optic is coming with us. So we're going to take some more pictures, hope to get some behind the scenes, and show you what we've got.
So you may have noticed in my hand, the soft focus 2 is not in the Composer Pro. The soft focus can be popped into the Spark. It can go into the housing that the Twist 60 comes in, which is also, I believe it's the same housing that the Obscura 50 comes in. So just that housing that doesn't move at all. Because this optic, you don't have to move it to catch special, to change your focus like you would the sweeps or the edges, or yeah, the sweeps or the edges. You can, it helps, you can catch different lens flares with the sun when you do that. but you don't have to, you can keep it straight on. So that's what I was using when I went on that photo walk. I just used it in the straight on housing that came with my Obscura. All right, so I'm gonna have some behind the scenes where you can see what I was focusing, and then a still after. So this, I used the sunburst disc. I love the sunburst disc. I don't love the other aperture discs, but the sunburst one is my favorite, and I used it a lot on that particular hike. I mean, look at that burst, that sunburst in there. It's just so cool. And here is the same image, but it's without the sunburst. So it's no disc at all at f4. It's just so dreamy, almost like a painting. Again, there was no disc here with this one. I was just enjoying finding the focus on different things and watching that bokeh. And here was my final result for that one. And then I did the same thing, but I popped in the sunburst disc. I just love watching that come into focus. This is my favorite. I was playing around with different apertures, or sorry, shutter speeds as I was filming the behind the scenes on this, but this is kind of, it gives you an idea of like what I'm seeing and what I'm doing as I'm trying to figure out the perfect place as before I take a picture. You can almost like feel that breeze on you. And I love the way that it twinkles with the movement of the pine needles. It just looks like a little bit of winter magic. And there it is. All right, so then while I was there, I decided I was going to try with some intentional camera movement, or ICM. And I did this at f16, and I believe my shutter speed was 1/6. And I'm still practicing with ICM, but I really loved how this image and the next one turned out, and the potential for ICM with this optic. I love this one. It's almost like a double exposure, but it's not. I love that you can see the individual trees, but yet there's still like that blur movement that was very intentional. So this optic is going to be really fun. For those of you that enjoy ICM, this optic is for you. It's so fun. And here's a little bit of out of focus. I might end up using this one as an overlay for other images because that bokeh is just so cool. I love the starburst effect or sunburst effect in this image. And even though it's completely out of focus, it's like a dreamy painting. And again, so you can see macro here. There were no discs used, but look at how creamy and soft that background is. It's just Wonderful. I love this. I love this optic. Here I popped in the sunburst disc again while I was capturing some macro. Oh, I forgot to add in there macro. My macro filters were used on this. That's like moss. So it's pretty close up. And then of course I had to get images of my dog on her gotcha day. I love all of that starburst, sunburst bokeh around her. And look at that reflecting off of her collar underneath her bandana. It's just so cool. It's like an extra touch that captures the special moment that we are celebrating with our dog. And there we are. I even was able to capture a self-portrait. That's myself, my husband Jonathan, and my dog Rooney. And I balanced the camera on a rock. And behind my husband, I have my phone that I was using as my remote to take the picture. And I thought that this optic did a great job even for a self-portrait. So those of you that enjoy self-portraits, this is a great one. I will look forward to seeing what you create at the different aperture settings with this. And yeah, it's great for portraits. I look forward to trying some more portraits with this. So that's what I have for you today. I love my soft focus. There it is. I love it. It's great for just popping it in your bag, as I said, and it's a grab and go. So if you like to take hikes, if you like to go out with your kids, take walks in nature, this is great just to throw in your camera bag. If you travel and you are stuck with that question of like what lenses make it in my camera bag to travel because it can't be too heavy.
Hello everyone, my name is Noah and I am a proud ambassador for Lensbaby USA. For over 16 years, Lensbaby has hand-built one-of-a-kind special effect lenses. They are in Portland, Oregon, and their mission is to embrace weirdness and imperfection. Lensbaby, in fact, is the enemy of perfection. An advocate for the unique and the unusual. Their motto is to shoot extraordinary. My journey with these creative lenses started in December 2019 as part of my rehabilitation after suffering a severe head trauma earlier that year. I was badly hit by a car and then abandoned by the driver on the road. This left me traumatized not only physically but emotionally and mentally too. Being a photographer and an artist, as soon as I was well enough to create again, I reached for my camera, but somehow traditional photography did not resonate with me anymore. I needed a new medium to be able to express what words could not describe. With Lensbaby, I entered a new path when I started shooting with these remarkable optics accompanied with the Composer Pro 2. It felt like waking up from a coma and I could immediately feel a wide range of possibilities opening up for me. So here I am today. I am super happy and excited to announce that Lensbaby is launching a brand new optic, the Soft Focus II. This beautiful little thing is the newest member of their Optic Swap system. The new Soft Focus II Optic Swap is a feature-packed improvement on the original Lensbaby Soft Focus optic. It's like a velvet lens, but with way more glow at any given aperture setting. With an aperture range from f2.5 to f22, the Soft Focus II is compatible with all Lensbaby's current and legacy Optic Swap lens bodies. It is also compatible with the Optic Swap macro accessories, including Lensbaby's 46mm macro filter kit and macro converters. This optic works best pointed straight. It has a 12-blade internal aperture system which allows you to quickly adjust the amount of glow from dramatic and surreal at f2.5 to no glow at f22. And of course you get a variable amount of glow between these extremes. When shot at its brightest aperture settings, the Soft Focus II creates impressionistic images with soft pastel colors and subtle sharp details beneath. The optic produces a remarkably flat field of focus and creates unique images that you can only get from this optic. Stopped down to f8 or darker, the Soft Focus II creates beautifully detailed and traditionally sharp images with a large central area of focus and out of focus edges. 4 specialty drop-in magnetic aperture discs are included with the Soft Focus II optic. So this is where I live. It is such a unique and special part of London called the Docklands. There is this kind of surreal contrast here between man-made and nature. Those big skyscrapers are part of a business district called Canary Wharf. People either love it or hate it. I don't think there is any in between, really. It is kind of strange as I'm such a nature child, a very outdoorsy person, but there is something about this place and I personally love it. I think it has something to do with the fact that it was built on water. Everything is surrounded by water here. I love water. And I love how it makes these tall, steel and glass buildings a more friendly environment. And of course, the water attracts all sort of birds. And the view keeps changing by sailing boats floating into my frame or swans landing on the water. Not to mention the crazy British weather, of course, that makes the light change almost by the second. I had so much fun photographing this environment with the Soft Focus II optic. Every image looks so painterly and kind of out of this world. This optic creates a real dreamlike atmosphere. When I first started shooting with this optic, I got a little bit worried as it was pushing me way out of my comfort zone. I have never used an optic like this before. Shooting at its widest aperture setting at f2.5 can be quite challenging. My favorite setting for this optic was to shoot at f4, which gives you still a very rich glow all across the images, but with very visible, sharp details underneath. While testing this optic, my favorite topic was a still life setup where I used some glass and perfume bottles with a small golden gemstone bracelet. My light source was a small lamp and a candle. So this is a kind of setup that I really enjoy shooting. So I think my favorite light type for this lens is kind of like low light and ambient, and I have all these beautiful little props, a perfume bottle, an extra perfume, a golden bracelet, and I light a candle, and I've got this great chest of drawers, which creates such a nice texture against the little metal links and gemstones, and I love how the light basically makes these brassy golden tones pop and glow. So I really love shooting close up with this lens, because it just creates really nice textures and atmosphere. So I'll show you in a moment. Sometimes I actually quite enjoy getting the images completely out of focus, so it's even more dreamlike. Very surreal. So just like that. Okay. I hope you enjoyed this little video about the Soft Focus II optic. It was a real journey for me getting to know this equipment. And from being so unsure about it at the beginning, it became a real love story. I cannot wait to share more and more images with you taken with this optic. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us, as we are always here for you and happy to help on your Lensbaby journey.
Hi, my name is Annick and I am a Lensbaby ambassador. I was one of the lucky Lensbaby ambassadors to have access wholly to the new Optic, which will be released soon or has been released, depending on when you watch this video. So the new Optic is called the Soft Focus II, and it's got a very velvety look for those of you who have the velvet lenses. But it's like Craig said, and Craig is the co-founder of Lensbaby, it's a velvet on crack. I don't have any velvet lenses here, so I was not used to play with glow on my pictures, so I must admit that I struggled at the very beginning because I like to shoot wide open, and wide open with this Optic means a lot of glow, and I like to have details of my subject face, and so I like to adjust at the very beginning, and I also had to get used to set my aperture between f4 and f5.66, which is not usual for me. I'm sure that it's not your usual aperture too, but the results are really great with these aperture settings when you are shooting your family like I'm doing. So today I want to have a soft focus on storytelling to help you to get started with this lens. So, sorry, 5 things to keep in mind, and it's these tips are working for any lenses that you might have, but I want you to see how it worked with the soft focus. So first of all, and it's always the same thing, it's always at the very beginning of my storytelling list, illuminate the moment, the mood. You want your subject to shine, unless it's a silhouette, but you want your subject to be the star of your picture, and one way to do that is to make sure that the light is hitting your subject. Second things to keep in mind, capture the strongest part of the moment that you are shooting at. The way I'm doing it, for those of you who know me, I always shoot in burst mode, and it's not because I shoot and pray, it's because I really know what I want to have as a final result, and I'm not a girl that like to compromise, so I want the best facial expression at the best moment of the action shot, so I shoot in burst mode. And it's for some people, having 500 pictures to cull down, it's huge. For me, I can do this in 5 minutes because I really know in each sequence what I'm looking for, so it's really easy. Another things to keep in mind when you are storytelling, even though you are you are the audience for your pictures and you are not shooting for Instagram or for a brand, it's always fun to have something unexpected. It's changed from the everyday pictures, so I am always on the quest of to find something unexpected, and I will show you 2 pictures that to me are unexpected. I also try to add visual interest in post-processing, so it's always in my mind, always, how can I strengthen the storytelling with my post-processing? Sometimes it's really quick, sometimes I will open Photoshop and add some light overlay, some snow overlay, but I really want my pictures to shine, and I try to do it in camera, but sometimes it's just not possible because the sun was not there, the snow stopped to snow, and I try to bring it back in post-processing. And finally, I always try to strengthen my composition, so it's my tips for you. Few tricks here: add a framing element, create a 3D feeling with depth, so to make sure that your subject is not stuck in your frame. Make room for him to breathe, for the gaze to be gazing at something and not gazing at the edge of the frame. You want to use leading lines to do that too. It really helps to create a stage and not a one-dimension feeling. And finally, and it's proper to this lens, so use the right amount of glow. Too much glow will kill your storytelling, and if there is not a lot of glow, it will be like you are shooting at f22 and all will be sharp and there will be no subject isolation. So it's important with this lens, which has a lot of glow, to pick the right amount of glow, because you want some details. Sometimes you don't want details because you're shooting for like an atmospheric mood, and that's totally fine. Just be aware of what you want in your picture. I don't have my picture at f8 here with my kids on this sofa on the couch, but I didn't pick this picture here because it's a f8 aperture, and my kids, yes, are in focus, but also all my decoration, all my plants, and everything. So it's not interesting. It's just like a snapshot because I wanted so badly to have my kids both in focus that I compromised with the storytelling side of the picture. So they are doing something great. They are all cuddle, but if everything is it's on the same. Everything is in focus, so nothing is shining, you know. So to me, it's a fail. So I should have shown you because sometimes we like to see the fail of other photographers. But yeah, make sure that when you think about strengthening your composition, that your subject is the star and there is no competition in your frame for your attention. Okay, so that being said, I create a quick collection for you to see how my pictures look with this optic. So this is they are all of course taken with the Soft Focus II, and this one was taken at f4, and it was morning and she was using our iPad, so I simply hunt for a good quality light, because as you might know, sometimes there is blue light, green light, red light, pink light, yellow light on your kid's face, depending on what they are watching or playing. So here I wait patiently for the light to be white. And yeah, and at f4, what I like is the iPad is also sharp, and so are her eyes, and to me it's the right amount of glow here. And I use the Omni filter at the bottom of my lens to add some visual interest, and because it was kind of boring at the bottom of the frame, so I simply play with my stretch glass Omni to get this effect here. Here it's an example of shooting something unexpected. So while I was getting used to this lens, I went outside with my son, and I simply tell him, could you simply throw snow in the air? And instead of like throwing the snow on his side, he simply sorry, he simply throw the snow on his face. So the composition is not that great. I think I have cropped this a lot because it was boring. But yeah, you can see. And I didn't finish to. I don't know if I will keep this picture or not. I still need to find the best crop for this. But I still wanted to show you how this optic play with the light here. And as you can see, I was at f4, and the detail on the snow, if I reset this, there is not that much detail, but it's still there. So I try to enhance this with a lot of textures and clarity in post-processing. And I also, of course, played with the white balance to get rid of this blue hue here. Yeah, so I think it's unexpected because you can see his face, and I think it's funny. Okay, so this is the final result, and this is the original. It was snowing on and off that day, but the sky was not that white, but yes, it was covered, but there was some blue hint to it, which is not quite obvious here. So I played in Lightroom at the beginning, so I used my preset, but I really need to increase a lot the textures and the clarity sliders, and also the DAs one, to get the textures back on the snow. but it was not enough. So I played with the gradient filter. Oh, this is one. So I start with the sky one. So you can, I don't know if you know it, you can select sky here, and then you can apply your brush work. So I simply decrease the exposure, up the contrast, and decrease the highlights and the shadows here, and add a bit of a DAs too. But there is no coloration added, but you can see that the sky got a blue hue simply by removing the exposure. And I did the same thing, but at the bottom of the frame to get more textures again on the snow. So I upped the texture, the clarity, but I decreased the dehaze here because it was too much. But I decreased the exposure too. So it's already a good before and after, but something to me was missing. So I open up Photoshop and I simply add a snow overlay. And to me, this is how I felt that day. It was a fun day. It was joyous. We had fun as a family. And I think that the snow element that we experimented during that day was missing in the picture. So I simply had it. Here is another example of an unexpected element. I'm sure you are well aware that this is not how we do a snow angel, but for my daughter, this is her version of snow angel. So I tried, it was funny. But not I tried, but I thought it was funny, and I decided to capture it. So again, here I'm at f4 or 5.6 here, and you can see that the detail are not so apparent, so I bring them back with a lot of texture and clarity here. So original, there is not too much glow, but there is some glow on the snow that makes the textures a bit hard to see on the snow. Here is a picture I wanted to show you to capture the right moment. So she was trying to fill off this thing that we call a trois ski in French. I don't know how you call this in English. Three ski, I don't know. Let's say trois ski in French. And she tried at each time she was smiling to get off of the trois ski. And I like this one because she is really in between, and I like that. So just need to finish this edit and to remove the tag here because it's annoying to my eyes. Okay, this picture, I'm sure you are familiar with homeschooling in COVID times. So this is my version of homeschooling, remote schooling, in fact, because I was working in the basement while she was attending school on her iPad. Here I try to deepen my composition to make it more interesting. So I just bought that new plant here and I try to use it as a framing element. But you really need to balance your frame here because, as you can see, it's a very strong visual element. It's a very beautiful plant too. And in other shots that I did, the leaf was too big on the frame and it was distracting and it was stealing the show. And I wanted the show to be about my daughters being at school. So I tried to get the right amount of that leaf here to not detract the picture. And I also played a lot with the vibrancy and saturation of this pencil case. It's very bright pink. She chose this. But it was distracting because my eyes went straight there. And I don't like that because I want my eyes to go to my subject first. And then I want to see the iPad and then I want to be able to look at the surroundings. So I really played with the coloration here to still be true to life because my audience is my family. Yes, I'm posting on Instagram, but I'm doing all these pictures for my family. I'm the memory keeper of the family. So I don't want to change the color of the pencil case because she picked the pencil case at the beginning of the school. So just be aware of your composition, framing element, your lines, the colors, but you want to have a balanced frame. So a quick trick to know if your frame is balanced, just zoom out a bit. And what do you see first? What do you see second? And what do you see third? So if your subject is not what you see first, you know that something is wrong. Okay, so this picture, it's a landscape one, obviously. I took it at f8, if I remember well. And if you look at the original, I underexposed it on purpose, but it's way too much underexposed. But luckily, I was able to recover the details here because I was shooting at a very low ISO. So here I tried to really enhance the mood here. So I played with my post-processing to deepen the storytelling. It was gray, it was raining on and off, and it was raining, I think, when I took that picture, maybe not. But yeah, I think it rained 5 minutes later because I remember I was all wet when I was back at the cottage. So here I wanted to emphasize the atmosphere, the blue sky, and I simply played with the color-white balance here. I wanted a blue hue overall color scheme to make the fall color pop. So orange and blue, so these are complementary colors, ish, and it really created a nice tension when you look at the picture. I could have done this differently. I could have tried to deepen the depth here. So instead of going on the blue side here at the bottom of the frame, I could have had some warmth. So warm in front of the picture and cool hues in the background increase the depth. So it really depends on what you want to do. But here I was aiming to bluish color palette here. And yep, that's it. So also a way to strengthen or to deepen your composition is to have a foreground element. So this is acting as my foreground element. This is my middle ground, and this is the foreground element. And the last one I want to show you, this picture was taken the day after the previous one that we were looking at. So unfortunately, because of the very rainy day and windy day we have the previous day, the leaves fell down very quickly. But I really like that we have the warm tones here and the cooler hues in the background. So the depth is there. There is a tension between warm color in the foreground and the cold color in the background. And I really like that she is gazing straight ahead. So when you look at this picture, you see my daughter, and then you follow the gaze that you don't see, but you know because of the position of her head that she is looking straight ahead. So you keep going, and then you can see the lake, the mountains, the clouds, and then you circle back to my daughter, and you can see that it was wet because she's wearing gum boots. And I also like that she has collected some leaves here. She was making a collection to bring back at home. So that's it. I'm guessing I have other pictures here, but maybe this one I can show you. So I was trying to capture her at bedtime. She was playing with shaking teeth, and she was also looking at a video on my phone while I was trying to take pictures with my new Soft Focus II baby. And I like the light that is coming from the bedside table lamp. Try to speak English here, right? So she has some nice side light here, which help for the 3D feelings too, and for some depth, even though there is not a lot of depth. But you have this foreground element, the middle ground, and not a lot of background here, but yeah, because there is more like two focal planes in this picture, but because you can only see the light and you can see the lamp, to me it helps to increase the depth of the picture, because the element is missing, but you can see that there is something. So your brain is recomposing the bedroom in its head. That's all. So as you can see, I didn't take any wide open shots so far, but I like to play with the f4. This is my favorite aperture so far. It's the right amount of glow to my liking. So I will let you on that. I hope it was interesting, clear, fun, and let's meet on Instagram. Go find me. My name is Annick Photographe, Annick Paradis Photographe on Instagram. Photographe means photographer. It's a French word. Yeah, I hope I was clear. I hope you didn't mind my mistakes when I was speaking in my second language. And come say hi. I will be very happy to see you. Bye-bye. Thank you for having me.
Hi, I'm Liz, photographer at It's Still Life Photography by Elizabeth Wilson. As a Lensbaby ambassador, I have the opportunity today to share with you Lensbaby's newest optic, the Soft Focus II. I'm going to begin today by sharing a little bit about the basics of the lens, and then I will get into sharing how I have had the opportunity to create with this lens and the effects that it can create for you. The Soft Focus II is an optic that fits into Lensbaby's Optic Swap system. Here I have the Composer Pro, and you can see how it fits right in. This lens has an aperture of f2.5 to f22, and you just change it by twisting it right here. With the aperture f2.5, you're looking at a center area of detailed focus with a lovely impressionistic glow on the outer edges. As you change the f-stop to about f16, f22, you're looking at a very contrasty and rich feel, and the versatility of this lens really shines. This lens is compatible with Lensbaby's macro converters and macro filters, and I will show you how I use these to create some flower portraits. This lens also comes with these cool drop-in discs. They're held in front of the lens with a magnetic system, and you can tell that they will retain the focus in the center, but then spread the light on the outer edges of your image, and they make a really neat effect. I personally love this lens for its dreamy feel and its ability to take your images and create rich, emotive storytelling while also adding a sense of mystery. Now I'm going to take you on a little behind the scenes of a photo shoot that I did with my daughter with the Soft Focus II. You can see that she is mostly backlit in this image, and I am moving both my body and the focus ring to achieve the focus I desire. Here you can see the shadows on her face, but also the rich glow around her. Here, the light is diffused by the railroad bridge and the cloudy day. The wind definitely added an element of movement, and you can see how the blur is in the highlights. This shot, I used an aperture of f16, which you can see adds contrast while still giving a nice blurred background. Here I had my daughter face the light, so there are very minimal shadows. You want to be considerate of this when using the soft focus. You do lose some of the details and depth without the shadows on her face. For this next shoot, I added the medium drop-in ring to the Soft Focus II lens. Here you'll notice with the aperture ring that the background has a bit more blur and haze. It's not as significant when your subject is not separated from the background. In this case, you'll take notice more of the effect of the aperture rings. Check out the starburst type shapes in the headlights of the cars. You do want to be cautious in portraits because the aperture rings will pick up the highlights, like these on my son's mouth. Now I'll take you on an indoor portrait session. You can see the sun was setting, so the shadows were deep here, and how the light hits her face. Here I'm shooting wide open, so the glow really is enhanced. I find this lens really shines in the shadows with the side light. With these next few backlit images, you will really see the sense of unearthly mystery. This lens can also really enhance the movement. Here I tilted the lens slightly to focus on my feet while I was moving. And here's another silhouette where you can really embrace the glow. Using the Soft Focus II for portraits, particularly using indoor window light, also adds a vintage type feel. It's very classic. Now I'll show you some flower portraits using first the Lensbaby macro filters. This is direct afternoon sunlight coming in the window. You can see the lovely glow here. And this image is using the aperture discs. You can see how they almost doubled the petals and increased the haze and blur. Next, I'll show you the Lensbaby macro converters. Here I am changing my angle and focus on different parts of the petals. You can see the blur in the background as the petals blur out, or in the foreground. I just love how the details ease into haze here. For these flower portraits, I've now added both macro converters and all of the macro filters. Often when I shoot macro, I start completely blurred and then move in to grab the details. I loved how the light was hitting the edges of these petals and the clarity with which I could capture them. I then changed my angle and began again, discovering the details of the petals as the light illuminated them. Here I shifted to a more backlit image, and you can truly see the glow. So here are the resulting images. You can see the focus on the edges of the petals and how it fades into the blur. An editing hint: if you ever want to decrease the glow feeling, use the dehaze slider in Lightroom. The glow really hits the highlights or the bright spots of the image, even in the backlit images. And if the light is right, you can even catch the glow in the foreground. Next few images will highlight the Lensbaby Soft Focus II's versatility. You can see how it brings out some rich colors and contrast in landscapes. It adds depth and a sense of a dreamy feel. The colors and layers, they create scenes that you desire to walk through, to be in, to live in, to travel along through, to experience. So in summary, the Lensbaby Soft Focus II optic has the capacity to create rich landscapes, depth-filled macros, and portraits with a glow and hint of mystery. The new Lensbaby Soft Focus II optic is sure to add emotive and dreamy elements to your photographic art. Thanks for spending time here with me today as I share about my experience with Lensbaby's Soft Focus II optic. Please stop by my Instagram account to experience more of my art. I also welcome any questions or thoughts you might have. Happy creating!
Hi, I'm Melissa Tuckerowski, also known as Scotty on Instagram, and I'm also your Lensbaby ambassador. I'm here today to tell you about the newest Lensbaby edition, the Soft Focus Optic II. Comes in this neat little case here. The Soft Focus Optic is compatible with all Lensbaby current and legacy Optic Swap systems. It creates an ethereal, mysterious, and impressionistic glow. It is an amazing light lens to take around. This little lens, optic, renders some beautiful pastel colors when shot wide open. The Soft Focus II optic is very similar to a velvet, but more. It's a pumped up velvet. It's a velvet on crack, really. So whoever was out there looking for that velvet optic, we have come really close to it. This optic has a very flat field of focus with subtle sharp detail underneath that beautiful glow at f2.5. If you shut down your aperture, it kind of reminds me of looking through fog where you can see the details behind it. It's very similar to the velvet, but more. If you didn't know, Lensbaby lenses are an all manual lens. They do require some time to get acquainted with them and take some time and effort, lots of practice and lots of patience to get those beautiful pictures. You shut down that aperture to f8 when you're first learning and you will get some tack sharp images with little to no glow. New users should shut down their aperture the first time they pick up that lens. I can tell you the first time I picked it up, my first picture was a flop. And that's just the way it is. It does take some time to get acquainted with them. The Soft Focus II can require minimal editing. The colors are just so beautiful. The effect will start to disappear as you shut down. So if you're at f2.5 and you go to f4 or f5.6 and f8, your glow is going to slowly disappear away from you. The SF2 comes in a little carrying case like this with your lens guard. Just take it out, pop off your lens cap. Now, you're not going to be able to shoot anything with just this. You need a body. I use the Composer Pro 2, and it just pops right in there and you give it a twist. You can hear the click with the aperture. Then you take your house with your Soft Focus 2 and put it on your camera. And you're ready to shoot. It's a nice light lens. Now the Composer Pro 2 has the ability to tilt. Works great with some other optics, but with the Soft Focus 2, I would strongly suggest in keeping it straight. You just tighten this piece up right here and it'll stay in place. You can see the apertures change. The blades change inside. As you shut down your aperture, the hole gets tinier and tinier. Also, your glow is going to disappear at that time too. You can slightly see inside there the little metal pieces. Those are magnetic holders and they come with little drop-in discs. Drop-in aperture discs are shaped like little flowers. There's 3 of them. You have a big hole, a medium hole, and a small hole, and a sunburst. These little discs will give you textures in your pictures and will also provide you with some beautiful bokeh. These aperture discs just drop right in there and the metal plate holds them in place. You can see a little tiny flower in there. It's not coming out. Now to get it out may or may not be easy. I just use my pinky nail, and sometimes you keep a toothpick around to get it out. Just change up your glow by adjusting the aperture. The more you shut down, the less glow you're gonna have, but the more detail you'll have. Lensbaby allows you to be imperfect and creative. Embrace that experiment. These little discs will add some texture and great bokeh shapes to your images. With a dark background or a black background, your haze on your image is going to appear at 2.5. It starts to go away around f5.6 and f8. Now this little haze, if you have a disc in place, your bokeh is going to take on the shape of that haze. You're going to have a haze around your flower with the shape of the dots or whatever bokeh disc you have in there. You can put in a star disc and it's going to take on the stars. The SF2 is also compatible with the Creative Bokeh discs. So you can use any of these little shapes in your Soft Focus II, and all your lights and bokeh are going to take on the shape of the discs. So if you put a heart in there and you go and shoot some lights with hearts, all your bokeh is going to be hearts. This optic is shot best straight on. You can use a little bit of a tilt, but be wary that if you tilt too much, I've come across where I see the inside of the lens, which is fine if you can make it work for your composition. The lens is light. It's easy to take in and out. You can clean it and pack it and put it away safely. Now the best way to work with the Lensbaby is with focus peaking. This is where your camera will highlight the edges of what you have in focus. By moving your body slightly in and out, you can gain that focus or change your focal point. The Soft Focus II is also compatible with all of Lensbaby's Optic Swap macro accessories. If you want to get a little closer, you can use your macro converter. Now this little machine goes between your house, Composer Pro 2, your macro converter, and then your Optic Swap. Just like that. And you can get a little bit closer with it like that. It's also compatible with your macro filters. These just screw on the top, or you can use macro rings, macro tubes. Those fit on between your camera and the Composer Pro. They come in various sizes. That one's a 16 millimeter, and this one's a 10 millimeter. You can stack them, you can add them, use one at a time. It doesn't really matter, it just depends on how close you want to get. The Sony a7 III gives me the capability to also shoot in APS-C mode. So I had to test it out that way as well to make sure I was getting the same effect with the Soft Focus II on full frame and APS-C. The only difference I noticed was I got a little bit closer. The Soft Focus II can also be used with the Omni system. Now, the Omni system will not fit on your lens, so you're going to end up hand holding those little crystals just in front of your lens. You can put them close, you can put them far, experiment with some light, and see what you get. Doesn't matter which one you want. You just adjust it until you see what you like in frame. The Soft Focus II had a little bit of a surprise for me when shooting lights. Now, I got this back in October and Christmas came along and it produces the most amazing bubblegum images, balloon bokeh. It's just incredible. It was my favorite part of this lens, and shooting Christmas lights or any kind of lights was so much fun. This was by far my favorite part of this optic, and we did many walks around the block shooting Christmas lights and drive-bys with lights. It was just so much fun. I captured one of my simplest and favorite photos with this lens, a simple Christmas tree in somebody's yard with a couple Christmas lights on it bobbling away. They just look like gumballs or balloons bouncing in the wind. Have you heard of reverse freelensing? You can do them with optics too. You just got to pop your optic out, and you have a couple choices here. You can hold your optic up to the end of the Composer Pro, and it turns any lens into a macro lens when you do this, when you flip your lens around. If you slightly let some light in or tilt it or anything, you're gonna get some cool swirly colored bokeh in there, light leaks. It's just so much fun and so amazing to use. So the other way to reverse free lens is taking your camera body and your optic and holding it right up to your camera and shooting like that. It doesn't get you as close, but it does get you close. If you tilt it a little bit, again, you're going to get some colorful light leaks in there, some little swirls and swooshes, and it just creates amazing bokeh when you're reverse free lensing. Now, given this lens, I shoot a lot of different genres of photography, and this lens was not going to get away without shooting hockey. So I had it tested out with some action shots. It performed very well in the rink. Lighting is very poor in the rink, but it did really well considering you could go to 2.5. I did shoot at f4, and a little trick with manual lenses when shooting action photography. You want to set your focus. For me, that was at the goalie net. And then I would just pan my camera throughout the rink and wait until somebody got into focus, and then I could click then. And if there was action happening at the net, my focus was ready to go. If you need that extra reach, switch it into APS-C mode and you'll get that 1.5 times closer. So I'm shooting at 75 millimeters instead of 50, and that did help. Now normally I shoot around f3.5 with an autofocus lens, and that gives me some pretty good clear features on the face. The Soft Focus II is not about the strict details. So if I was to shoot hockey again, I definitely would bump up my aperture to about 5.6 or f8 to make sure I get some better features on the face. However, it did make the ice look amazing and like people were floating on the ice. I did a lot of drive-bys with this lens. For those that don't know, I'm located in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Not as far north as a lot of people think I am. I do get some northern lights and I do get extreme cold. We're talking minus 40 degrees Celsius and even minus 50. So heading out in that kind of temperature isn't really great. I'll go out between minus 20 and minus 30, all bundled up, and I'll survive. Drive-bys were a lifesaver. Crank up that shutter speed, wait for that tree to come into focus, and drive by, and click as you're going. Now, make sure you're the passenger though, okay? I did some walk arounds the neighborhood, and I took the lens out into the trails. Probably about minus 20 or so. I had no problems with its performance, although it doesn't really do anything itself except adjusting the aperture. The focus ring on the Composer Pro 2, I had no problems with, and it just worked great. The only thing is when you're coming in from extreme cold, if you have to go out that way, make sure you're putting your lens and your camera body into a plastic bag, closing it up and bringing it into the house before condensation forms on it. Milk drop collisions are one of my favorite winter activities to do because we get dark really early and milk drops are caught in the dark. Milk drops I normally shoot with my Velvet 85, but there's no way I was going to let the Soft Focus II get away without trying it. I shoot around f8 to 11 with the Velvet, but because the Soft Focus II is so glowy, I did shut down my aperture to f16. I noticed a tiny bit of fading on some of the drops if they were leaning to the back or to one of the sides, but I'm dealing with two small drops and a really tiny field of focus. The Soft Focus II had no problems performing with a long exposure. The milk drops are caught on a 2-second exposure where the flash freezes the motion. And I had no problems capturing milk drops. The colors that were displayed were beautiful and it froze that motion. So this lens arrived roughly the middle of October, and just in time, November 3rd came along and I had the best Aurora show I have ever seen. I stayed up all night shooting and the Soft Focus II was right along my side. The Soft Focus II processed the greens, the purples, the reds, and everything so well and so beautiful. The glow on it made it magical, more magical than it already is, and gave it that extra ethereal feel to it. I have no complaints about the Soft Focus II and its performance in the dark, in long exposure, in action, in the cold, and just regular use. The Optic system leaves you tons of space in your bag because all you need is your body and your optics, and these optics are tiny. You can fit so many in your bag and have so many different focal lengths and so many different effects carrying around with you instead of just standalone lenses. In summary, I really enjoyed the ethereal, magical glow of the Soft Focus II optic. It is light, it's compact, it's versatile. It can capture the tiniest details to landscapes and portraits and the wide open sky. The bonus with the Optic Swap system. The optic can be changed in an instant. It allows you to capture tack-sharp images to dreamy images, and if you're a Velvet fan, you will just love the Soft Focus II. If you have any questions about the Soft Focus II or any other Lensbaby optics or lenses, please feel free to message me on Instagram and I'll get back to you and we'll figure it out. I hope you enjoy your new Soft Focus II optic. I know I did. It's definitely a keeper.
Hi, I'm Ali France, and I am a Lensbaby ambassador, a Click Pro Elite, and a Click Pro ambassador. And I'm really excited to be here today with you talking about one of the newest lenses from Lensbaby. This is the Soft Focus II. And this lens works with the Composer Pro 2, or the Composer Pro. So you can see I've got it in there. And man, it has just been such a pleasure to work with this lens. I have had it for a couple of months, and I have to say that my biggest struggle was that I am doing a 365 project and I haven't been able to share any of the photos that I've been capturing. But what I'd like to do is to kind of go through what I have found works best for me personally with this lens. I would like to discuss how in particular I use it. I found that contrast and kind of bright light with some dark shadows works really nicely. I love the versatility of this lens. This lens can be shot wide open, which is going to give you that beautiful glow, which I feel, for me personally, I would compare it mostly to the Lensbaby Velvet 56. But what I do love is that if you're looking to shoot something that isn't necessarily, that you don't want the glow, you just want a real crisp image, you can do that. I have also found one of the interesting discussions is, with the Composer Pro, you can tilt it. And so a lot of the time I would shoot straight on with this. I think that it works best straight on. But you do have the opportunity to tilt it if you want. And so it was fun to play around with. So what I'd love to do is show you some of the images that I've got, show you a little bit about how I used it. And I also want to talk to you a little bit about the fun discs that they have provided. They are so much fun. They really give you this unique and creative bokeh. And one of the other things I want to say about this lens is I had the opportunity to travel across the country with it. So we moved from Wisconsin to New Mexico, and I really enjoyed shooting over the holidays with this. I got a lot of great Christmas photos, and that again was a killer because I really wanted to share. I was just so excited and enthusiastic about this lens and had to keep it a secret until now. So I love that this is an opportunity to share it with you and talk a little bit about my experience. Thanks so much for watching. As I mentioned, I was able to travel across the country, so I got to experience this lens in a bunch of different settings. Some of these were shot in Wisconsin at the end of the summer. I loved being able to play with the golden light and the glow. I really just thought they gave these images a unique look, particularly with the bokeh. I did some indoor images. I also, as I mentioned before, really loved the effect that this lens had on the holiday images with, I found backlit, bright with contrast really helps and really makes things interesting. I loved to use it without the disc as well because the glow is absolutely beautiful. And so here are a few examples of that. Okay, so I wanted to share a funny story with you. So we recently moved from Wisconsin to New Mexico, and that was about mid-November. And then within the past few weeks, we just moved from our rental home to our home that we purchased. And I was trying to be meticulous with all of my gear and keep it organized. And just now, as I was looking for this little contraption, which holds the discs, I had put it in with my Omni and thought that I had it with my lens, and I had a slight panic attack. But I found it and all is well, and I think it's technically, I think I have it backwards here. I think it is supposed to go like this. And so what you have in here are, you can see it says aperture discs on there. And I actually took these off of my lens, so I will show you how to put them on. So there are 3 different types here. Let's see. So there's the small, and then, my camera's falling, sorry about that. You've got the medium and the large disc. And I had the large on my camera most recently. And one thing that's interesting about these discs is when you put them in the Soft Focus II, what I've noticed is it does minimize the glow a bit. So if you are shooting and you're trying to minimize the glow, you can definitely pop these in. And vice versa. If you're trying to get more glow, I would recommend taking them out. But what these little guys do with bokeh is so awesome, so fun. That's kind of, especially with Christmas lights, and if you've got kind of some bright backlight, just really fun. That's what I enjoyed most with these. And so to kind of show you here, so the bottom of this little contraption has a magnet. And so these are magnetic. And so you can, this is kind of what you can use to remove and apply them. So there's the lens. So what you'll do, let's see if I can show you in here. We'll just go ahead and I will just pop that right in there. So as you can see, there it is. And it is just, I mean, so much fun. I have really enjoyed playing around with these discs, seeing what I can create. This lens, just, I know I mentioned it earlier, but it is so versatile. And I think that it might live on my camera for quite a while. I just have truly enjoyed shooting with it. And yeah, so I can't wait to show you. Coming up, you will see some of the images with the bokeh that I mentioned. And one thing I was thinking too is you can probably stack these, and I don't know that I've done that yet. So I think that's on my to-do list, is to stack these and see what else I can create.
I've included this next series of images to show the true versatility of this lens. The Creative Bokeh has the disc insert, and the more circular bokeh is without the disc insert. But you really can use this lens for everyday images and create a wide variety of unique looking effects. And I tried to show that you can use backlight, you can use this for self-portraits. There are so many different things you can do, and you really can get crisp images or that beautiful glow by messing with the aperture and the discs.
So here you can see I am using manual focus, and I am going to, it's pretty bright, so I'm going to stop down. This is the Soft Focus II, and this is currently at, this is at wide open at f2.5, so you can see that beautiful glow that we've got going there. And then as I stop down, what you can see is how the glow effect disappears and it gets pretty crisp edge to edge. So this is stopped down completely. So my current settings are 1/80th of a second, ISO 100, and this is at f22. But this lens really is just so versatile. And again, what I will do, kind of zoom in and out so you can see, I will open it wide up again and bring there. So there's that beautiful glow again. Wanted to show as I move around here is I do have the medium disc on, and you can see that it adds that fun effect to the bokeh that I just really like. So as I move around, you can see that moving around the frame. So that is why I love to use the discs, because it is such another unique and fun element.
So to wrap up, I wanted to first and foremost say thank you so much to the Lensbaby team for giving me the opportunity to beta test this lens. It has been such a joy, and I am so excited for everybody else to be able to give it a try. The Soft Focus II is just truly so versatile. You have so many options, so many different ways to use it, and I cannot wait to see what others create. I want to say thank you so much to everybody for taking the time to watch this, and please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can reach me at Ali France Photography on Instagram. I'm Ali France Photography on Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, or you can shoot me an email at alifrancephotography@gmail.com. Thanks again so much, and I hope everybody goes out and gets one, because these are so much fun to shoot with. Thanks again.
Lensbaby Soft Focus II. Hi, I am April Milani, and I had the privilege of beta testing the Lensbaby new Soft Focus II, and it is amazing. And what I would like to do is take you through a journey with me through self-portraiture. And one of the things that I have learned and love about this lens is how gentle it is to the skin, how youthful and playful, and you seem to glow, but not in a cheesy way. It's more of a nostalgic, it's more of a glow that almost comes from within. So I want to demonstrate this for you. So as I play this first clip, what I'm going to do is ask you to, yes, analyze my skin. And as we do that, whoops, I'm sorry. What I want you to do is look at my skin. I want you to look at, yes, I do have makeup on, but that was earlier in the day, and by the end of the day, our skin can be tired. And the last thing I want to do is run and go put more makeup on. So as I've been able to play with this optic, it did it for me. It was almost like that fresh facial, that burst of angelic glow that I would get by just popping this lens on. So I don't look as tired, or I just look more youthful and playful. So let me play this first clip and go ahead and listen to a little bit more of the lesson as well. Hi, I'm April, and this is Maisie. She is my partner in crime, and basically she helps me to get focused with my self-portraits. Today, I am beta testing the Soft Focus II from Lensbaby, and this is such a beautiful, soft focus with a nostalgic feel. And we will talk more about the lens and the technical aspects a little bit later. But right now, what I want to be able to do is show you how I get focus when I'm the muse and I'm the photographer. So I call my friend Maisie here, and I just put her on a little stand, and she sits here. I can adjust her to basically eye level of where I'll be. If I'm wearing a hat, if I'm wearing a dress, if I'm to the side, forward, whatever, I can basically mold and see what I'm going to look like. And then what I will do is I'll step out, I'll get Maisie in by herself, and I'll get focus, and I will start to play with the camera as if I were here. But I'm shooting at Maisie right now. Then when I'm ready to shoot, all I need to do is I will get like a Post-it, or a lot of times my remote control, and I will place it exactly where I need to stand, and I move her out of the way, and I take my photo. So if you're wondering an easy way to get yourself in focus, out of focus, whatever your focus may be for your image, get yourself a Maisie. Thank you. So do you see the glow here? The glow that is coming around and just illuminating her. I feel like, I know you can't see me quite yet, but this is really what I see now. Now, what else I'm doing here is I'm using Maisie as where I'll be standing. I'm able to step back. I'm able to get the focus that I choose, the focus that I feel best tells my story for the portrait I'm taking. And then I can also come in here and I can adjust my settings, and I don't have to worry about someone getting impatient or missing the focus that I want over and over again. So Maisie's very, very patient with me. And as I progress forward in this session, I go ahead and I get myself close to where Maisie is. I adjust, I make sure that basically I'm standing where she was. I adjust the camera. I put her to the side. And I just kind of connect with the camera. And now here I'm trying different elements. I'm just putting the sheer over the camera on the tripod and waving it around. Do I want to go for a long exposure? You know, I have my settings, but you know, do I want the material to fly around me? This is where you can just kind of play, because you know exactly where you're going to go back and stand. You have your post-it or something on the ground helping you. So this is just really what I do when I'm taking a self-portrait. I'll play around. I'll have an idea in mind. But then many times, you know, you get a couple shots, your idea may change. I decided I didn't want the material flying around. What I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of climb in the material and make like a tunnel, like a light tunnel. And this is really what I do. I will have my remote in my hand and I will just position myself. I'll position the fabric, the light, and pose, snap my remote, which will click the shutter, and I'm really in no rush. You know, I was trying to move the fabric around. I moved the camera, just move it back, and have fun. And just wanted to show you here how easy, if you go out of focus or whatever, bring her back in. It may seem kind of funny, or you might feel silly, but it's okay. Oops, sorry about that. So here we go again. If you look at my skin, do you see the glow? You can see even around my shirt how the color of the shirt expands out, the glow. There's a glow around my hair, and there's just this softness where my eyes even looked tired by the end of the day. They almost seem to sparkle. And I have found that that is some of the magic of this new lens. So I'm going to take you through quickly just a few of the images that was from that session. Nothing was adjusted. I did not adjust my white balance. These are all straight out of the camera. If you know my work, I can go very heavy on the editing. But what I wanted to be able to show you is the softness, but yet the clarity. Everything's very clear. You can still see everything. You can still see my lines. You can still see my hair, my eyes, the sparkle in the eyes. But there is this beautiful finish over the top without even going into any type of software. And as you play with this lens, you will begin to see different types of sparkles, the different types of shine. This is just the beginning.
So thank you for listening and watching. And if you do step into self-portraiture, I am here to answer any and every question. I feel very passionate about it, just as I feel very passionate about this new lens. I think you are highly going to enjoy it. Thank you and have a beautiful day.
Hello, Lensbaby family. Just wanted to pop in here and say thank you all so much for showing up today for the launch party. I know that a 3-hour event in the middle of the workday is kind of difficult to attend, but for all of you who did, thank you so much. It's been an incredible experience to be able to be here with all of you today. I want you to know a couple of things as we head off for the day that I'll be ending the day with you here, but immediately after this, I'm going to replay all of the videos from the day because I know that some people are starting to get off work and they want to watch this, or maybe if you're in another country or just waking up. And so that said, we're going to replay the entirety of the event for you today here in our Unplugged group and on YouTube. I hope that you all learned so much. We're going to be putting each individual video on our YouTube channel as well. So if you go to YouTube and you search Lensbaby USA, you will find all of the individual videos, and those will be up today actually. And so you can watch this in its entirety here on Facebook or YouTube, or of course you can just go over to YouTube to watch the individual videos from each one of our incredible speakers and beta testers here who got to use and experience the Soft Focus II. There are a couple of just quick notes for each of you who are watching. Again, thank you for showing up. Thank you to Team Lensbaby, who are amazing, who we literally could not do this without. Thank you to all of you for watching and showing up and participating. If you go to lensbaby.com and you order Soft Focus II, I just want you to know they are shipping. Tons of people have already in fact, over 200 people have already had theirs shipped out today, and there are more to be sent. So be sure to grab yours before we run out, because inevitably I think that we will. So head over to lensbaby.com to grab yours. And if you have any questions, you can please reach out to us at customerhappiness@lensbaby.com, or comment on the videos here on social media, or of course, just head over to lensbaby.com where we can answer any of your questions. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of the Soft Focus II launch party. Of course, we cannot wait to see what you put together and create. Be sure that you tag us at Lensbaby and hashtag Lensbaby on social media, because we want to share your images. If you have blog content, if you have videos that you want to create, if you have questions, reach out to us, because we're always looking for more content. And of course, until next time, our friends, go and shoot extraordinary. We'll see you soon.
Hi, I'm Craig with Lensbaby, and I'm here to talk about the Soft Focus II Optic. The Optic is part of the Optic Swap system, and it is a system that allows you to take a lens optic and put it into a lens body, as we call them, and get a specific effect. I have just put the Soft Focus II Optic into the fixed body, which is the one in my hand is a Sony mount, and that allows me to have a complete lens. That lens is different than what you could have done with the original soft focus optic, primarily because of the internal aperture system. It has a 12-bladed aperture that allows you to fine-tune your effect, and the first soft focus optic that came out in 2009 had only drop-in apertures. It had the same effect as far as the optical design was the same, but you had to commit to the look that you were after before you started to focus, before you framed your image. And if you wanted to change that, you had to pull your apertures out. Now, what's really cool is that the Soft Focus II has that same aperture system, and we're including 3 of these multi-hold apps. They have different size center holes and a different number of outer holes, and so that mixes the softness from the outside of the optical design with the sharpness from the inside in a very different ratio for each of these 3. So for different subject matter, and you might just find a favorite of the 3 that you like, it just gives you lots of options. Lensbaby loves lots of options, and this is one of those options. It also comes with a sunburst app that allows you to change the shape of your out of focus areas. And that effect is really obvious if you have points of light in the background, and less obvious if you have a low contrast background. But it will change the highlights on your subject. It will change what's going on in the background, especially if you have a high contrast or points of light in the background. Those apertures come in this little aperture removal tool and storage case. And I am going to just show you right here. Let's open this guy up. Whoops, or get my hand out of the way. And what you want to do when you're changing your apertures is just drop it in fairly flat, and that puts your aperture right there, sitting right in front of the glass, which is right in front of the 12-bladed aperture. Once you've got that in place, I don't generally stop down my internal aperture when I have another aperture sitting in front of it, but you can play with that for sure. You can also stack up to 3 different apertures to get custom shapes. And then when you're ready to remove that and go back to just the internal aperture or change your drop-in aperture, the end of the tool that the Soft Focus II came with has a magnet on it, and you just tap that to the front of your aperture and pull it out. So that's how that works. The Soft Focus II at the brightest apertures, tons of glow. As you stop it down, it becomes more like a classic lens where you still have edge effects and whatnot that are not like a modern lens, but you have a very, very sharp and contrasty center. So having that huge amount of variability and having the drop-in apertures to be able to change the shape of everything that's out of focus and the highlights even in the in-focus areas, there's tons of variability, and there's lots of happy surprises that come with this because the flare that comes from it, the points of light that will take on the shape of your aperture, it's a ton of fun. Last thing I want to show you is how to properly install your optic. And what you want to do is you want to open up your optic or stop your optic. I was right the first time. Open up your optic to f2.5. That is the brightest aperture. It goes from f2.5 down to f22. And there's going to be a dot there right next to the f2.5. You want to line that up with the circle. There's a circle and a dot on the front of your lens body. And then just click it into place. What that does is, one, it puts your apertures at the top of the optic so that when you're looking down on your lens, you'll be able to see what your aperture is. And it also gives you an indicator of which aperture you're at because that dot is now lined up with your aperture setting. So that is a primer on the Soft Focus II optic, which is one of my favorite optics. Tons of variability. It is, you know, I'm the Lensbaby daddy, so I have to choose sometimes which one's my favorite, and sometimes this one's my favorite. But if you have any questions that I didn't answer, please put it in the comments below, and I will answer those as soon as I can. And you have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here.